Hey gang, it's Tom. Welcome. Paul, glad to see you joined us. Glad you hopefully you recover from your Red Sox celebration. If not, it'll go on for a while. So tonight we were looking at our design for what we have laid out for the best-selling program, and we found out that we had a hole in it. Thank God we had somebody solve. We hadn't gone over email newsletters, how they work, databases you need, how they're conceived, what they should look like. And actually, we found that hole because we looked at our organization. We had the big hole right there in our organization. So we've been consistent with newsletters occasionally. This year we've been terrible with them. We've been so busy that we fell way behind. And we had a little break in our webinar, in our retreat schedule, and they kind of came up to all us, hey, we haven't done newsletter like 3 months. So we figured, we need to get somebody in here to do this stuff because we're not that good with it. And we do realize the importance of it, especially on a consistent basis. So Joyce Kay, we've been friends for a few years, and I know her through her husband, who's one of your fellow authors, and her ex-husband, one of our fellow authors. And Joyce is into newsletters, like everybody's got a calling. I think Joyce is one of Joyce's callings in newsletters. And thank God for people like her, because there are people like me that need people like her really bad. And she's really extremely thorough and scientific and methodical when it comes to newsletters, especially in setting them up, not only from a conceptual point of view, but also from a database point of view. So we thought we need to squeeze Joyce in for a session with you folks. And of course, she's going to go over a lot of detail, and she's going to be very well prepared like the rest of our speakers. And this will be recorded. This will be recorded. So just make sure that you can take whatever notes you need to, and know that you can access this webinar again if necessary through the miracle technology, and learn what you need to learn from this point forward as well too. So welcome, Joyce.
Thank you. Thank you. And
so we're going to have, Joyce is going to give between a 45-minute, hour-long presentation, and she's going to open up to your questions from that point forward. And we will conveniently shut down just a few moments before 6:30. It's all yours, Joyce. Take over and go.
Okay, thanks.
Ram is here to support you through technology, so he's here. And if you need anything, if you've got a problem with the screen jamming or anything, just tell Ram and he can fix it. Or at least he says he can.
I have faith. Thank you. And welcome,
Thank
everybody. And thank you, Tom and Rama, for inviting me and helping me with the technology here. And I really am into e-newsletters, so maybe it really is my calling, because I've been looking for what my real calling is. Anyway, we're going to look at the power of email marketing and some of the topics. Okay, let's see here. I think I have to, give me a second. I'm trying to, there we go. Okay. Do I need this panel, do I need this panel open, or can I minimize this? All right, well, go ahead. Okay, so you should be seeing now the topics that we're going to cover. Why you really need a newsletter. What exactly is email marketing? And then how does it fit in with your overall marketing plan? Because there are different facets to a plan, like websites and social media. And then we're going to look at metrics to increase your success. And I've got some tips for you about growing your mailing list. And then I'm actually going to walk through creating a professional email through Constant Contact, because that's the program that I use. And I can even give you a free offer to try Constant Contact for 2 months. So that's what we have on the agenda, and then questions, of course. Okay. So just a little bit about me and why you should spend the time tonight listening to me. My business is designing, developing, writing, and publishing newsletters. I do it for myself, obviously, but I also do it for clients. And I actually consult and coach people to use Constant Contact themselves, and then how to integrate it with websites and social media like Facebook and other marketing tools. I have 7 years experience with electronic newsletters, but overall I've been doing newsletters, hard copies, that kind of old-fashioned thing, for over 25 years. And I am a partner with Constant Contact, so I have a closer relationship with them than some other folks. And in my business, my main audience that I focus on are nonprofit organizations, healers, and authors. What do you know? So it's perfect to be working with Tom and his people. And I have 35 years of business experience in a whole bunch of different areas, operations and customer service and database design, in an array of areas like finance and IT and the travel field. I've also taught at the community college level, computers and IT software, and I do obviously private coaching and consulting. And I'm telling you all this because I really am a people person and a computer geek, and it's a little bit of a paradox, but I think it really helps me communicate better with different people, with a whole array of people, because I have like that holistic piece to it. And believe it or not, and I don't know if Tom knows this, but I'm actually an author as well. I co-authored a book about Microsoft Outlook that got published a number of years ago, and that was a lot of fun. So that's me, and enough about me, and let's really get into now why you need a newsletter. You can use newsletter to connect and inform and grow, and that means connecting to build customer relationships, and then letting people who support you in your work be informed about what's going on and what you can offer them, and then growing your business with targeted marketing. So let's start with email marketing basics, and this is about connecting with your customers. And I want to pause here and say I realize you're authors, and so some of this is going to be really general, and then I'm going to drill down and make it more relevant to who you are and the kind of work you're doing. But overall, the basics are connecting with customers, engaging in meaningful conversation and communications, and using email for your marketing strategy. So I'm going to talk a little bit, or a lot actually, about connecting with your customers. It takes relationships to build a business. It's about people. And people and your customers, they are the single most important asset to your business. Without them, you know, who are you going to sell books to, right? And they don't just show up because word got around somehow that you wrote the greatest story ever told, or that you have a great idea, or that you're passionate. It doesn't work that way. Connecting with people happens through communication. And it takes time and money and energy and effort to acquire customers. And I'll get a little techie here, or statistical here. It takes about 7 times or touches for a sale to occur. That means you have to somehow interact with a person, a single person, 7 times. That's a lot of times. And some people, they'll buy right away. They'll buy your book right away as soon as they hear about it. Other people want to research it first and then try it. And then some people, they have a little bit of interest, but they don't quite have the trust. They're a little bit wary. It really can take anywhere from like 5 to 10 times to communicate with someone to generate a sale from a prospective new customer. Now, this chart that I have up here, this just gives you an idea about what it takes or what will happen in converting leads to customers if you only connect with them one time, or if you have an ongoing interaction or conversation with them. So with an immediate purchase, so that means you meet someone once, and they immediately want to buy what you have. They want to buy your book. Someone that's interested and you only, hi.
Oh boy, this is Rama. Probably not right now.
So someone that you touch, so to speak, once, they're interested but they decide to buy later. If you only touch them once and there's no follow-through, it's unlikely they're going to return. And the same thing with, they're not even interested at all, but they might say maybe later, and they're not going to return.
Hey, I'm really good. What can I help you with?
And obviously someone that there's absolutely no interest, they're not going to return. Now, on the other hand, if you keep in regular conversation with them, and they're an immediate purchaser, obviously they're going to purchase immediately, but you have the opportunity then that they will make future purchases if you keep in touch with them. And someone that says they're interested, but, they'll buy later, well, you can keep them in conversation and capture the interest and keep up that communication. And it's the same if someone was more hesitant and said, well, not now, maybe later. You just keep the conversation going in some way and capture the interest and communicate. And then if there's no interest, usually even with an ongoing conversation, you may not get to turn them to purchase a product, buy your book, attend one of your events. So you can see that you really want to be in touch with people to have that opportunity that they're going to come back to you. So customers are really valuable. Returning customers spend more, they're easier to convert, and they refer people. And you've already paid for what it has taken for them to turn into your customers. So when you're ready to write your second book and it's ready to be published, it's more likely that if they bought your first book, they will return and buy your second book. They will attend events that you may be giving. And they're going to refer people to read your book or to attend your events. So current customers are very valuable. So there's something that's called relationship marketing, which I'm really passionate about, and newsletters fit in really nicely with this. And relationship marketing recognizes the long-term value of customer relationships. And it's not about just constantly being in touch with people and trying to sell them something and promote them and just do advertising. It's not like that. It's got a personal feel to it. It's about relationships. And what I want to mention is that Tom, for instance, has been on my newsletter mailing list for, I think, about 4 years. And it was just this year, earlier, that he reached out to me right after I had sent one out. It was like 11 o'clock at night, and he emailed me that he needed something. So you never really know when someone who you've been keeping in touch with is going to actually become a customer. You just don't know. So I've created this little drawing here that shows the different tools that one can use in relationship marketing. And my idea is that your website is at the hub of it all. And you have these other tools that are like spokes that feed into the website. So website is home base. And then you might do some paid advertising. Maybe you have a blog. Maybe you're really active on Facebook or Twitter and other social media. You're using search engine optimization, SEO, on your website. You actively present events, book signings, other kinds of talks. hold webinars, you give out your business card wherever you are, and perhaps brochures, and also you have a newsletter, you do email marketing. These are different ways to connect with people, but they all feed into your website. They all push people to go to your website, where, in my opinion, that's where you have really all the nitty-gritty details, and people really get to know you and your business, what you're selling, what you're all about. And so newsletters, to me, is a really important one. And it's a really useful one and an economical one. To me, it's a fun one. So we're going to go into detail, well, why use email and what exactly is email marketing? Well, I think just about everyone on the planet who has access to a computer uses email. So we can say, you know, pretty much everyone uses it, and it is very cost effective. People can have free email accounts and be in touch with the rest of the world. So email is just a great avenue to connect with people. Now, the difference between using a regular email like Yahoo or Hotmail or you know, Gmail, the difference between that and email marketing is, with email marketing, you get to use attractive, professional-looking templates to stay in touch with your customers and to build stronger relationships. It's an easy and effective and affordable way to keep your people coming back. And it's better and more effective than regular email for a number of reasons, which we'll get into. But for instance, I'll just give you a couple of items. You can keep track of who has opened your email. You can't do that in a regular, let's say, Yahoo program. You can see who's clicked on links. You can see whose email address bounces. Sometimes you'll get an email bounce notice from your service provider, but not all the time. So, and then you don't understand the code in which they mention it bounce. So you'll get to see how much more powerful and how much more is involved with email marketing instead of using a regular email program. Email marketing is not spam. I do hope you all love my graphic. What email marketing is delivering professional email communications to an interested audience. And to me, that means they've given permission. That's my philosophy, that people should be giving permission, and that it contains information that these folks find valuable. And when I say professional, I mean that the characteristics of your business are reflected in the visual imagery here, and you're delivering information that is educational for your audience or that differentiates your business from the so-called competition. Now, as an author, I don't think that you really have competition, even though we know that so many people are publishing now. You're still unique, but you need to let people know why you're unique and why they might want to purchase your book over someone else's, because they have limited spending dollars. And what I mean by an interested audience is that people who are familiar with you and your work, and they want to receive your communications. And again, I believe in permission-based, and this is how Constant Contact works, permission-based. And this is very helpful and more effective when it is permission-based. And that this contains information that is valuable. If you send out a newsletter and it's boring and it's really not offering value, people will start dropping off and unsubscribing from your list. So why go through all this effort if you're not really putting out a newsletter that's really worthwhile? Excuse me. So before you begin email marketing, you know, you'd want to ask yourself the following questions. Do you believe that repeat and referral customers help your business? As an author, if you just have a single book, let's say right now, and you're not a prolific writer at this time and you don't expect to have other books, well, maybe you don't have repeat customers, but you would certainly have people who are going to refer others to you and to say, oh, you got to read this book. Do you have a plan for delivering multiple communications? Do you want to use your regular email program, for instance, to be staying in touch with people? And is your audience really interested in your message, the message in your book, the message in your newsletter? Do they find it valuable? Do you currently have the ability to make your emails look professional and reflect you and your brand? And do you have an email marketing service provider who can help you manage your strategy? In summary, email marketing success really depends on your ability to connect with people and build value on those relationships. So you want to have a newsletter that is interesting so people do feel connected to you. And then your success also depends on your ability to repeat and refer businesses to get that business through repeat contacts. So now that you have a basic understanding of the potential of email marketing strategy, let's look at the benefits of email marketing. So this is just a summary, and then I'm going to go a little bit into each one. The benefits are to boost customer communication, and then you can talk to customers with a targeting, with messages that are pertinent to them. There's the benefit of getting more referrals more easily, and we'll get into that. Like, people can easily forward your email, and that can be tracked, and then you can have referrals showing up that way. You'll see that you can get immediate response and action. Through tracking, you'll see who opens up your newsletter, how many times they've opened it up, if they've clicked on links, if indeed it bounced. And certainly one of the benefits of email marketing is that it's going to save money. It's going to save on paper and postage. So email newsletters are fast and inexpensive to create, and we actually are going to walk through creating one towards the end of this presentation. You'll see how fast it is. And it puts you in inboxes more accurately than regular mail. There is a lot of spam filters that, for instance, Constant Contact uses, so that it's less likely that your newsletter is going to land up in someone's spam folder. There's some spam testing that you can go through before you send out your newsletter, like it'll check for certain words that might raise a red light, but you have a better chance of getting your newsletter, your email, into an inbox of someone. And I'm sure we're all familiar with spam, so I don't think I really have to talk much about it. I do want to mention, though, I'm just going to back up for a second, that there are some email programs like Yahoo and AOL and Hotmail that actually have a spam button. And so sometimes someone could actually inadvertently click that button and spam the newsletter that you sent them. And then you have to go through a little bit of process if they really want to be back on your list and they express that. So spam is definitely an issue, and you want to try and do the best that you can by writing a newsletter that doesn't have certain, words that might alert spam filters, and just make it interesting so people are more careful when they open it and they don't hit a spam button. So with email marketing, you can talk to customers with targeting. So you can have different lists. Each list is actually a little database, and you can have lists that are based on a person's interest. So you always would have a general list, but let's say as an author you really write about a lot of different things. Maybe you're a travel author. Let's use that as an example. So maybe in general, you'll send a newsletter to people about travel, but then perhaps you have a specialty in, let's say, the Middle East. So you might have a list of contacts of people who are really just interested in travel related to the Middle East. And so you might do a newsletter that is geared just to them, and you only send it to that list. It's pretty nifty to have that ability. And so with these different lists, you can send more relevant and targeted messages to your different people. That makes them more likely to respond to you and more likely to act upon your email if you have a call to action in it. With email marketing, one of the benefits is getting more referrals more easily. Within the newsletter, there's a forward button, so it makes it easy to forward the newsletter to other people. Now, I know in a regular email you can push a button that says forward, but you're not going to be able to track it. So that's one big difference. And in having people forward the newsletter that are currently on your list to their friends and who are ultimately new prospects for you, you're offering a risk-free peek to them at your business, at your products, the different books you're writing. And then for those people who've received that email that it had been forwarded to, they can actually sign up then directly for your newsletter and get it each time you send it out. And you can have a button that you see here on the screen on your website. It's a sign-up button, and within each newsletter that you send out, there's a way for people to just click on a button to join your email list. This is what's really fun about having an e-newsletter, is that you get immediate response and action. And in this society where, you know, we want instant gratification, this is really cool and it's really fun. So it's a quick way to send emails, and then you can see results with real-time reports. And you can actually schedule email delivery. In fact, Tom wanted me to send one of his emails out at 5 a.m. Arizona time yesterday, and I was able to schedule that. So you can create a whole bunch of newsletters if you're going to be out traveling or you just are in a writing mode, and then schedule them for the appropriate times. And you'll increase the likelihood that people will read it when they're checking, when they check their email. And this other nifty part is the reporting feature, the metrics here that you can get with email marketing. You can see, as I mentioned, who opened up your emails, how many times they opened it. You can see if it's been forwarded. You can see who forwarded it, but you can't tell who they forwarded it to, and that's for, you know, confidentiality reasons, which is understandable. And then you can see who clicked on the different links. So if you have a link, let's say, to your website in there, you'll get to see who clicked on it. Or if you have a link to, let's say, a special event you're holding, a bookstore, again, you can see who's clicked on it. And then you can use this information to understand what people are really interested in reading about, because if you see a whole bunch of clicks on a particular item, then you'll know, well, you just want to keep, let's say, writing about that topic. And then you can tailor your content to get the best response and the most business. And there's a snapshot here of the toolbar in Constant Contact, where you just get a quick glance at how many people opened and what the percentage was, how many contacts it was sent to, how many clicks, if anyone forwarded, and then a brief summary of the bounces. But you can always drill down and get more details. You'll notice also here you can see if there's any reports of spam, and if anyone is opt out, which, you know, are unsubscribed. And as I mentioned before, email marketing allows you to save on paper and certainly postage, which just keeps going up and up. You don't have to stuff envelopes, and then you could say goodbye to paper cuts. Now, there's a lot of email marketing services out there these days. Constant Contact was one of the first ones. They came along in the 90s. But I'm sure you recognize at least a few of these other names that are here. My experience, for the most part, has been with Constant Contact, although I have briefly used MailChimp and Vertical Response. I've been working with Constant Contact about 7 years now, and I just love them. It doesn't mean they're perfect, but I love them, and they have great customer service. They run a good business. And I became a partner with them about 5 years ago. They are truly one of the pioneers in the field, and they're always improving their interface and their technology. You can usually try one of these services, and there's a lot more than just the 10 that I have listed here. You can usually try a service provider on a trial basis. You may not get to use all the tools, but you can get a good sense of what they offer. And if you go on the internet, you can do some Googling and look at some reviews. I have 2 links here where you can review the different services. This first one, they do an annual review, the Email Marketing Service Review. They do an annual review of the services and other programs too, but so they're good. And then I have this other link here, but you can just Google and see what's out there. So now let's get a little bit more specific to you authors. What are you going to put in your newsletter? Now, if you're just starting out, you would probably want to let people know that you're writing a book. It's nice to share that information. You could even provide an excerpt, a chapter, or part of a chapter from your upcoming novel, or if it's already published, a sample of it. If it hasn't been published yet, or you don't have the softback copies available yet, you just have, let's say, your ebooks out, you could offer a pre-order special in your newsletter. Of course, you can announce that the book is now available. It's a bestseller. Tom hit an Amazon bestseller level recently, and he put that in his newsletter recently. You can use your newsletter to describe your writing experience. And certainly you can express thanks to those who helped you and supported you on the journey. You can mention Tom, for instance. You've been working with him. I'm sure he's been tremendously helpful to you folks. And you can certainly announce book signing events. Now, I know there are a lot of authors who are also speakers, and so you might have a lot of speaking engagements, and you might have a calendar in your newsletter for the month, let's say, of where you're going to be. So this is the kind of information you can be talking about. You may be an author that you've written a book, but there's so many other things that you want to write to people about in the newsletter. It doesn't just have to be focused on your book. The idea is to build your relationship to connect with people, really. And then, you know, a year down the road, when, let's say, you've written an entire trilogy, maybe someone that's been following you but hasn't purchased any of your books decides to buy that because you've kept them in the loop. Now, here's an example. It's not the full newsletter, but here's an announcement newsletter for one of my clients who's an author. So, and you'll see, this is strictly to announce the book. You'll notice it's got an image of her and an opening greeting. It's got a personal Dear Joyce. I always like these salutations. It's got an image of the book cover, which is also linked. You can't see it here, but that also has a link going directly to Smashwords. And then down here, there's additional links to take people to read a sample or order the ebook on Smashwords or the Kindle edition on Amazon. And as I said, it's lengthier, but this newsletter, its focus was just to announce that her book was now available. And then here's another one. Excuse me, not used to talking so much. This is of another author client of mine, and she did an announcement newsletter, and now she is holding a book signing. It's actually this coming weekend in Pasadena. And so she wanted to let people know about her event. And so you'll notice that this is a 2-column newsletter, whereas the other one was a single one. And there's a whole bunch of information in the left sidebar, which at a quick glance people can get an idea about what's going on. It's got contact information, it's got the image of the author, it's got where the event is taking place, as well as a link to the bookstore's website. You'll see here the mailing list button. So if this gets forwarded to someone else that's not on the mailing list, they can easily join the mailing list. And again, this is not the full newsletter here, so you can't see the rest of the full version of what's on the sidebar. And in the right column, we have the salutation again with a little brief opening greeting, and then we have the community. She's calling it a community event, and it was discussing her book and signing copies, and she was also making homemade treats. So anything to entice people. Now I want you, as I said, this is not the full version. What I'm going to click here, and we're going to go in and see, this is the live version of this newsletter. With Constant Contact, you can put a link that will open your newsletter in a browser window, and the reason for that is because there are a lot of email programs that will not support the formatting of the newsletter. So for instance, starting with Outlook 2007, the formatting code gets stripped, and so when I see an email come in, including my own, it doesn't look as pretty, so to speak, as if I view it in the browser. So Constant Contact has that link for people to view in the browser. I just automatically click on that when I get a newsletter. So this is the full newsletter here. I'm just going to scroll down a little so you can see a little bit more of what's here. On the sidebar, underneath the mailing list button, there's the information to purchase a copy, and again, a live link. So if I click Amazon.com, boom, opens up to Karen's book. And same thing with Smashwords. And then we have a little brief bio here of Karen, just to get people acquainted with her if they really don't know her well. And then we've got a little logo here, and I want to mention that the main part of this newsletter was to invite people. So that's why you'll see here this event is taking up most of the room in this newsletter. But we do have a closing greeting, a closing with another forward this email button to make it easy for people. And a happy Thanksgiving message, again, to make it personal. We're looking to build relationships. We're looking to be friendly. We're looking to connect. And there's also a little bit of information about the bookstore, because this bookstore is actually a literary landmark in the Pasadena area. So Karen wanted to put some more info there. And notice at the bottom here, there is another link to forward this email that's automatically placed by Constant Contact here. So there's plenty of opportunity to forward this email to people. I want to mention about having images here in a sidebar or elsewhere. You know, sometimes you don't meet someone person to person. You know, maybe someone introduced you through an email or on the phone, or you just haven't seen them in years and you really don't have a good memory about what they look like. I like having an image in a newsletter so that someone opens it and they immediately say, oh, that's who Karen is. You know, they just didn't know. And so it will keep them staying on your list. Otherwise, they may wonder, for instance, who is Karen? I don't remember. I just say, you know what, I'm going to unsubscribe. So I think it's a good idea to have an image in there. And if you really don't want to have a personal photo, perhaps if you have a logo, if you have a company logo that is memorable and you think that one's memory, use that. Of course, you're always going to have a book cover if that's pertinent, but that's not enough for to have the recognition of who has sent it. So we're going to go back now to PowerPoint. And I'm just going to talk briefly here about scheduling. Again, my experience is mostly with Constant Contact, but I'm sure with most, but not all of the other providers, you will be able to do this. So, for instance, you want to set a regular schedule so people get accustomed to receiving you and look out for your newsletter, whether it's monthly or bi-monthly. Again, it depends on what you're going to be writing about. There are some people it really works to send a weekly newsletter if there are a lot of events going on, but I'm tending to think that wouldn't be the case with you folks. And you want to kind of get on a regular time frame, like it's the 15th of the month or it's the end of the month, or if you're doing it twice a month, it's the first and third Tuesdays. You really want people to get to expect you and welcome you. You really don't want to send it too frequently. You can really turn people off. Better to err on sending too infrequently than frequently, because if you consider to pest, the reader will unsubscribe, and you may never get them back. And worse, it could just leave them with a bad taste that they don't have the right impression of you, and they just don't want to deal with you anymore. So you really want to be mindful of the scheduling. Now here's some tips and tricks, and you'll see why I've used the word tricks here in a minute. Again, this is from my perspective, my philosophy. You want it to sound personal. You're looking to have a relationship. So you want it to sound like it's a conversation. So instead of howdy you all in the opening, that's why I use like dear Joyce, dear Tom, to make it sound conversational and personal. You also want it to sound personal from the style of your writing and to reflect who you are, just like a social relationship, a personal relationship. And I think it's a good idea to have an opening greeting, again, to make it sound personal, and to have a closing. And if really you're at a loss of what to write, although you are authors, I don't expect that to be the case, but in the closing you can keep it real simple. Like at this time of year you could say Happy Thanksgiving, or next month you can say, wishing you a wonderful holiday season. You can keep it simple. You can thank them, thanks for reading. So it doesn't have to be a lot of work or thought. I suggest 3 to 5 paragraphs per article, but not really, really long. And here's the trick that I'm referring to. If you do have a really long article that you really want people to have the information about, you can start the article off in the newsletter and put, 2 or 3 paragraphs, whatever, and leave the reader hanging. And then put a link where they have to click so they can kind of see what the rest of the sentence was. Really have it as a cliffhanger. It's a lot of fun, but you will get people to go to your website. And if you remember that other slide, my idea about the website being the hub of everything, you really ultimately want to get a reader to your website. Maybe you're selling your books directly from the website. Maybe you're not on Amazon, let's just say. Let's say you're doing the distribution all yourself, then maybe you really want to get them to your website and order from there. Although you could have them order directly from the newsletter, but that's a little bit more advanced. But ultimately you want to get people to your website. Now, some content tips. As I've already mentioned, I think it's a good idea to have a photo for recognition, have a little brief bio. You might have met someone at a networking event, but they don't really know much about you, so it's nice to have a little blurb in there. And always have your contact information in there, especially your website address. You'll want to have your join my mailing list button. and something that's called a social media share bar, which I have a graphic here and I'm going to actually demonstrate in a minute, and a link to the browser, which I'll also show you. But we've already seen that with Karen's email. So what I'd like to do is just take you on into my last email just to go through a few things. This is the web version, so it's in its all beautiful glory here with colors and the formatting and all that. This is published monthly, and so I have a volume number and an issue number, and I mention what month it is. It's a 2-column, and you're going to see in Constant Contact and other email providers there's hundreds of templates that you can choose from, and then you can. This is actually a dancing theme, and I totally customized it. But it had certain parts to it that I really liked, like the shadow line between the different articles that I did not find in other similar themes. So it's a 2-column. My left side, this is my table of contents where it says in this issue. These are all links. So if I click on what did you see when an email address is clicked, it brings me directly to that article. Here's that article, okay? I'm going to go back up. So I have my table of contents in this issue, it's called. I have just a notice about my schedule with a link that goes to one of my websites. I click it, and it goes to my Websites and Coffee website. And then the image, I told you to have a photo. I try to practice what I preach. A little bio about me. My philosophy, which in working with people, is to teach them so that they're empowered. And I have another link here that is to contact me, and that opens up into an email window. Ooh, I hope that didn't mess us up here. And some inspiration, and then some Constant Contact partner information. I have my newsletters archived. That's what this next block is here, and the mailing list sign up, and then my contact info. What I want to show you here is I have an article where I linked, and that's this one. What do you see when an email address is clicked? It's 2 paragraphs, and I talk about it, and then what I set up was to actually walk people through how to do what I'm talking about. So this link, if I click it, it takes people to my website. It's my other website, and this is a post, and I'm scrolling down, and it has step-by-step how to do this. And so I think it's a lot of fun to have these links, and you can see how it saves you space. Some people are going to open up your newsletter and just scan it. That's usually what most people will do. So they can, in this case, they can just look at the table of contents, and hopefully, you know, these titles are descriptive enough for people to get an idea of what it's about. And you'll see that there's all different kinds of themes, but I'm going to stop playing around with that one, and we'll go back here. And I wanted to talk about, because it didn't show up on mine, this social media share bar that's here. You'll see it has a little button that's for Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and et cetera, et cetera. This is not about your Facebook page or your Twitter account. This is about the readers. So you send me your newsletter, and I want to share it on my Facebook page. I click this button, and I share it on my page. So if I have like 500 friends, it will appear on it will get shared with all 500. Now just think about the numbers here, how rapidly you could be spreading the word about your new book, let's say, that's coming out, or your book signing that you're having in 2 weeks. This is very powerful, and above that is just where you insert that link for going to the browser so that the newsletter can be viewed in the correct formatting. All right, a little bit about metrics to increase your success here. The open rate is who has actually opened your newsletter. And if it's not as high as you think it should be, although I would say you should check industry ratings. If you send to 500 people, don't expect 500 people or even 400 or 300 people to open it. The rates are really low. If you get like 25%, that's like really good. But you would want to increase that, whatever it is you want to increase it. And ways to increase it would be to have a really catchy subject line, so that people are just really curious and they want to open it. You would want to take a look at your content. Maybe it's not interesting enough. And you might want to really look at how your grammar is and your spelling, because that's really can be a turnoff for people, that because it doesn't appear professional then. You can look at who's clicked and then follow up with the reader. It's another opportunity to connect and build the relationship. And remember, that's what we want to do. We want to build this relationship. Another thing that gets tracked is bounces, and so you would want to take a look at what has bounced and for what reasons. There are 5 different reasons. The most correctable in a way is if it's a non-existent address, because you can just take a look at it first and see if maybe .com was spelled C-U-M instead of C-O-M, and then go fix it. But there are other reasons why an email address may show as bounce, and you would want to check into that also. There are different ways that you can grow your mailing list. Online, you can have a sign-up link on your website. And in social media, like on your Facebook page, you can also have a link for people to sign up. When you present an event, like you have your book signing, you always want to have a sign-up sheet there. And that's, if people are signing it up, that's expressly giving permission to keep in touch with you. And you'll see in this little graphic that I have here that I have a join our mailing list button in my email signature. It's a long signature, but just to give you an idea, that's from my email message. And so people just click on join our mailing list, and it opens up to a page where they can sign up. So there are numerous ways that you can grow your mailing list, and you'd want to take advantage of all of them. So I'm looking at the time, and I do want to leave time for questions. So I'm going to just do a quick walkthrough. A really simple, I gotta log in here. Okay. In Constant Contact, again, that's my email marketing provider. So I'm just going to go in here, and we're going to keep it really simple. There are hundreds of templates you can choose from, as I mentioned. You can customize them, but they often do come with images that are pertinent to the theme, and you can use those, or you can upload your own images. I'm going to go here and create an email. Sorry, okay. All right, and I'm going to just search. There are so many here. You can choose by a topic, by a layout, like a single column or double column. I'm just going to type in here Thanksgiving. We're going to send out a Thanksgiving message just to say hi to people. So I'm just going to choose this one, but I could preview it if I wasn't sure yet. Just going to select it. And I'll just give it a quick title here. As Tom's, I am very organized, so and detailed oriented, so I do like to mark things. So here's the workings of this newsletter. On the left side, I have the ability to change colors and fonts and add different blocks. Now this automatically put in my company logo. I don't have to have it there. And you'll see it has different blocks. So here's the header image block. And with this particular theme, it gives me a choice of images to choose from. And I'm just going to scroll through that, and you can just get an idea of what they're offering you. Of course, there has to be football there, and food. We'll stick with this one, I think, and so I'm just going to save it. And you could upload your own image as well. And this is a title block that I have the mouse on, and I don't particularly like that color, so I could go in and easily change it, and we'll go and we'll make it a little bit darker, or we'll just do that. And then here's my introduction block, and you'll see it says, Dear So-and-so. This, where it says contact first name, if you've collected first names, then it will automatically put that in. And so then each person will get one that's personalized. Dear Joyce, Dear Tom, Dear Bob. Now, I don't really like this color, but there's an easier way for me to change this color. You'll see here on the left the main text. I can change the color right here, and I'm just going to make it black. And notice how it is now changed to black. Okay. We'll leave it at the Arial font. So we have our intro block, and because this is just a Thanksgiving greeting, it's a very short and simple one. But I could add additional blocks if I wanted to say something more. Here's a closing block, and let's say I want to add something. I'll just say, I really appreciate having you in my life. And I often sign things with the word blessings. Okay. And I could throw in my image if I wanted to. Notice that here is join our mailing list. That's already linked. You don't have to do anything with that. That is already linked to your account. So that makes it nice and simple and easy. And then in this particular theme, or template, sorry, there's a coupon. I don't know that I would use it at Thanksgiving, but if you had a special offer, save 25%, or let's say it's save 15%. Let's say we're going to allow people to pre-order your book, and you could have an expiration date. It's good to January 12th, 2014, and then you would type in here what the offer is. Okay. And here's the automatic link for forwarding. Let me see that. And here is the header options area. It automatically put in the subject, but I can change this. Remember, we always want it to be catchy. That's not really. And I would want to have my full name. So a lot of this stuff automatically got generated because of the information I put in as I set up the account. And this is where we click to put the web page version, so it will put that link that I mentioned so that people can open it up in the browser, and this social share link bar so people can share it on Facebook and other social media. Just really wonderful. Now you can see that there. And I'm going to save this, and then you can actually do a preview. You can actually send yourself a preview as well, or someone else that you would want to look at it. And this is the way it would actually look, and I'm just scrolling down. and you'll see the from and the subject line. And so we're going to get it out of this now. I'm really not going to go much more into detail here with Constant Contact, especially this may not be the email marketing provider you use. But I do want to mention that you can look at your contacts here. And this is actually a database of everybody, and it's actually a nice way to have a backup database of all your contacts. So I'm going to log out of here, and if you're interested in trying out Constant Contact, you can contact me or use the link that's listed here to try it out. It's good for 60 days. You can have a lot of fun with it. And compare it to other programs that you might be familiar with and see how you like it. So there's my contact information. And I thank you for joining us. And we're having some technical, there we go. Thank you for attending and spending the time, and thanks to Tom and Rama again. And here's my contact information if you like it, and I think we're going to open this up now for questions.
Thank you, Joyce. I'm going to unmute everybody, and I hope everyone's got their headphones on so we don't get feedback. And Joyce will answer all our questions. I really enjoyed your presentation because I think kind of as a retailer, you talked about some of the same things that I talk about to the authors about having to establish a relationship, and it's not all about sell, 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 and all. Maurice, I can't seem to unmute you. I'm going to give it a try again in a second. Yeah, Maurice, you're going to have to type in your question if you have one, or you might have to give me a call later on if you got any questions. Everyone else is unmuted, and I'm going to mute myself back up so that the dog barking and my constant phone calls don't interrupt.
Okay, anyone have questions?
I have a question for you, Joyce. Thank you for today. It was very interesting to listen to. I have a little bit of background in marketing, but not with what I do now, but in the maritime industry. What I noticed, the letters that I get on a regular basis, what I'm subscribed to, some of them, they repeat 3-4 times the same message. It's like they're quite long, especially the ones that call for action, and they just are basically repetitions. I personally find that a bit annoying because I'm a speed reader, and then I think, oh, do I have to keep on reading? And then I hear other people that say, yeah, but you get more sales that way. Not everybody's a speed reader, and if you put it there 3 times, and people get your message. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, this is a matter of philosophy and style. I don't go for all the hype of the advertising, you know, with the long messages, just like you see websites like this too. And it's totally for sell, sell, sell. I prefer to take what may seem like the longer route to build up a relationship with somebody. And so then when they're ready to make a purchase, or, you know, like I live in Sedona, you know, how many massage therapists are here? How many healers are there here? How do I differentiate from the different people that are, you know, giving theoretically the same service? Well, it's over time getting to know them. So it's a totally different style, and it certainly depends on what you're trying to sell. I mean, if you're really trying to sell widgets and you have 100 widgets, and maybe that's what you want to do. So it's, you know, it's not right or wrong. It's a matter of style and what the particular situation is. So I don't know if that helps you, but I'm a people person, like I said, you know, so.
Yeah, me too. I feel better with that. But because I've listened to other webinars and I read other books about e-marketing, and some say, no, you definitely always repeat yourself. And I'm like, yeah, I don't like to repeat myself. So I think indeed the best is probably to follow your intuition and
Yeah.
stay congruent with your own style. And, yeah. Certainly I will have a look into that, what you're offering with constant contact. So it might not be immediately that I contact you, but I'll get in touch with you.
And what's your name?
My name is Nadine.
Nadine? Okay.
Yeah, and I'm from Australia. So
nice to meet
I'm
you.
talking to you from Wednesday afternoon. I'm 17 hours ahead of you.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no, it's still morning here, sorry. It's 11 o'clock in the morning. I thought it was almost noon.
Hi, Joyce.
Hi.
Hi, this is Jasmina. I thought it
Hi.
was a really, hi. I thought you had it was a really good presentation for having a newsletter. My newsletter right now is with Express, it's called Express
Mail
Newsletter.
marketing.
Um,
Express
pardon?
mail marketing, yeah.
Yes. And I am wondering if you would work with me if I needed help, and I would like to stay with their program right now.
Well, I would have to learn it, in order to be able to help you. I am a quick study, but I'd have to learn it. I'm always interested in seeing what's out there and comparing them. And if you did decide that you didn't want to keep it, we could, move your contacts over. But, as I said, I have to learn it and then, help you with it. If you're not able to find someone who's able to help you with it, I'm certainly open to that. Have you worked with them directly? Do they have customer support?
No. Yeah, they do have customer service. I just have it, I'm new at it, so I had it part of my website package. And so I haven't actually sent a newsletter. I have the newsletter written, but it hasn't gone out. I'm still waiting to build up my email list from my website. But I'm thinking if I get really busy, I might need help, more help with that. So you think I really should try their customer service first, probably?
Well, I would think that would be more time effective.
Yeah.
I would like to mention, I don't have, how many people do you have on your mailing list right now?
I don't have anyone that's signed up yet.
Oh, okay. Because, I don't think you really need to wait till you have like 500 people, really.
Right.
So just keep that in mind. Even if you start with 20 people, start with your friends and your relatives and get going. I mean, that's my idea. You never know who's going to refer you, even if they are not interested in, whatever you're selling or you're talking about. They may refer you to someone. So you want to get the word out and get those relationships starting to blossom.
Okay, because I was thinking of, I have like quite a few contacts on Facebook, and I have Twitter followers of just tweeting and then sending a Facebook message out that with a link to my site. But you think a newsletter would be better than doing that?
Oh, it's different. If you remember the hub, it's one of the tools to market, but they're all different. They all have different audiences. They have different methods. Like, Twitter, what's it, 149 characters or something? I mean, that's different.
Yeah, and a lot of times I think people are tweeting and they won't bother. If it's just a newsletter, you'd have to have something really catchy to get them to open it,
Well, that's why the subject line
Yeah.
can make such a difference. But, these are not mutually exclusive tools, the blogging and the webinars and the SEO and the social media. They all work together. The more that you can use, you're going to be able to get to different segments of the population. I mean, like the younger population is really more into the social media. So
Yes.
depending on who your audience is, like what your book is about, that may be something that you really heavily focus your time and your dollars and your effort on, because that's who your audience is, as opposed to, speaking at events or whatever. Again, it's individualistic. Truly.
Okay. And I have another question. Do you help with blogging as well?
In terms of what kind of help are we talking about?
Or maybe even help write blogs, if that were or help to even promote them.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can talk further about that. Yeah, you know, I'm really overall. What I do is about relationship marketing. I focus on using the tools of WordPress websites and constant contact newsletters. But you know, I really love this idea of connecting with people, and so,
Okay.
you know, we can take a look at that and see what kind of help I might be able to provide you with, and then
Okay,
set
so
you up with a system so you can do it yourself. I'm into people being empowered themselves, really.
yeah, I mean, I have written some blogs and so forth. I guess, you know, I could write my own blogs, but I might need help like promoting the blog and that kind of thing, the marketing end of it to really get it going, connecting and so forth. So it's something I'm keeping in mind though, but I could talk to you later.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Joyce.
Thank you.
Joyce?
Yes.
Hi, this is Paul. I had a couple questions. I'm probably not as far along as everyone else, but I'm really getting close to setting up the author's website, submitting stuff to the person that we're working with, and they're using WordPress for setting that up, and I've gone through, pretty much got a good handle on the graphics. Is there a format for trying to consistently carry graphics across everything, so you have a consistent message in your newsletter through what you're talking about, constant contact and WordPress, so that everything comes out graphically? You know, you're sending building your brand and sending a same message out?
Right, you're talking about branding. You know, I think that branding like that is really good, although I like diversification, so I kind of get a little bored with it, but I'm not mainstream, I don't think. And in Constant Contact, they will actually match a newsletter to look like your website, if you like that. So they do offer that. And I don't think you can go wrong with having consistent brand and then, you know, adding a little pizzazz in other ways, you know, to break up all that.
Okay, excellent. Okay. All right. The other thing I was going to ask you is, you said there's like a free trial for Constant Contact. What is normally, how do they work their standard pricing for that?
The standard pricing, the way they work it is they charge you by email address.
Okay.
So you could send 1,000 newsletters out a month, not that you would want to, 1,000 different ones. You can send as many as you want, but they charge you by the number of email addresses. So if you have, let's say, up to 500 email addresses, and if you just pay by the month, you pay full price, but you can get discounts if you prepay. So by the month, it's $15.
Okay.
To have 500 contacts, and as I said, you can send out as many newsletters as you want in that month. That comes with just the ability to upload 5 images in an image library, which might be okay for the first newsletter, but you'd want to keep your images in the library and not delete them. So at some point, you'd want to purchase the library, which is $5 a month, and then with that, you can also have PDF files and Excel files that you can put in your newsletter. So let's say you have a flyer for an event. You could have it in a PDF or a Word doc and have it attached to your newsletter. And then you could invite people to please print it out and hand it out, let's say. So that's also part of that library.
Okay. So now, just so I understand, when you say library, are you talking about, I've seen on some websites where they have, like, over on the side, like archived newsletters where it's back, like, you know, each month or something?
Well, that's a different kind of library. I'm just talking about for your images.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about. You know, just like have you been in the back end yet of WordPress? There's the media library there, and that's where you store. Sorry?
No, I don't believe I have.
Oh, okay. Well, this is just where you store your images and your other files. That's all I'm talking about. You can, and I do archive my newsletters, and that's something different. And of course, there's another charge for that. And that's because some people don't want to have the archiving, so why pay for it if you don't want to have it? So if you prepay for any of this, like 6 months at a time, it's 10% off, and if it's for a year at a time, you get 15% off. And they have even better discounts if you're a nonprofit. So.
Excellent, great. Thank you. Nice presentation.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Joyce?
Yes.
Hi. Okay, so I forgot that daylight savings time changed and jumped in here at apparently 8 o'clock Eastern time, which was right about the time you were wrapping up. But I will just tell you, I started with Constant Contact, and I went to their day-long class they had in Atlanta, and I really loved it a lot. And then a lot of us will probably, this will be familiar to Jasmina and might at some point be familiar to the others, that our web designer really wanted me to work with express mail marketing, so I changed over. I have a very robust list, but my book should be out in the next 2-3 months. But I'm just now at the point where I want to send out a newsletter about it. So, you know, I have found that the express mail marketing, the only way that I can import a picture and resize it is if I use, okay, it's either Foxfire or Firefox. If I use that browser as opposed to Safari or Chrome or anything else, which is really odd. But so that was one really odd thing. Constant Contact has a lot of great versatility. They are a little bit more expensive, and they have some add-ons that could make it more expensive. But I think that in the long run, they're probably worth it. I mean, I didn't get to hear your presentation, but I certainly know that I'm going to stay with Express Mail Marketing through the first, you know, couple of newsletters till I get the hang of it and see how it goes. But Joyce, Tom Bird's web designer, is very interested in Express Mail Marketing. I just think you should know him.
No, I know.
Yeah, and so those are the two I've experienced, and Constant Contact is definitely superior in many ways. They are more. They cost more. So the question is, what is it you want to deliver? I guess, and since I don't know yet, I'm working on it. I'll stay. You know, I'm going to sit tight, but I sure appreciate having your contact information and your expertise, and I want to thank you.
And what was your name?
I'm Clea Calloway.
Clea. Well, I just want to mention two things. Number one, that Rama did record this, so you'll be able to go and you know, see it.
Yes.
So it's not all lost.
Right.
And I just want to say quickly that you know, I do hear that people say Constant Contact is more expensive, but they're all the programs are different. You know, like MailChimp is free, but there's things you can't even do with that. So if it works for what you need, then it's great if it's free, or it's great if it's $5 less. So as you said, it depends on what you're looking to do, and then you also need to have the training to know what each mail program is capable of doing, because maybe you want to do it and it has the capability, but you don't know that it does. So
right.
You know,
And I learned one of the things I liked about Constant Contact also was that you could embed, I guess that's the word, videos. And I really like that a lot. And you cannot do that, by the way, gang, on Express Mail Marketing at this time.
Really?
So just, you know, I'm going to mail a few out and see how it goes. And if it's satisfactory, then I won't worry. But if it's not, I'll be looking to, you know, I like Constant Contact a lot.
Well, and just, you know, a workaround with, you know, the videos, then just put a link to your, you know, write a little bit about what the video is about and put a link to your website, because you missed it, but my idea is you want to get people to your website anyway.
Well, that's a good point. That's a very, very valid point.
So, you know, you can work around that.
Yeah, I think they're all interesting. This is all new to me as well. So my experience is very limited to just those two things.
All right, well, good luck with your book coming out.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joyce.
Thanks.
And Joyce, and this is Mary, and I'm on Eastern Time too, and was mistaken that you started at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
I know nothing about newsletters, and I would like to learn what everybody is talking about. So I'll get back to whatever you said.
Well, gang, I will be, sending this up to our forum for Greg to post, and I will also send everyone the actual file through WeTransfer, so that you'll be able to download it directly to your hard drive and play off of it. And it does work for both a Mac and a PC, although you do need certain softwares installed for the Mac. I think it's called Flip for Mac. When I tried it on my Mac, it wanted to update that software right away, and I updated it, and then I watched the presentation. So I definitely got a taste of what had to be done. And I think that, the point I would like to bring home, and Joyce just made it again, is that, the newsletter is a great vehicle, but we want to drive the traffic for a number of reasons. I mean, you want to drive it to your website. If it's a video, it may be advantageous for you to drive it to YouTube, to watch your channel on YouTube, because it's all, YouTube is #2 search engine. It's all keyword based again. And so all that kind of stuff goes to our advantage. And with the contact software, you can determine which of the links are clicked, so that you know how effective it is and where things are going. And ultimately, all those outside sources can have a link back to your website, so that they can watch it on YouTube. And if they're, you struck home there, they can zip from YouTube right back to your website. So there are definitely, the links, the backlinks, as Greg calls them. Joyce taught us that on our newsletter, you want to have, it was either Joyce or Heidi, I can't remember now, but on the newsletter, that you want to have, part of the story on the newsletter, and you want to have the read more to go back to your website. And so, and it's an art form as to where that cut comes, because it's all directed at keywords and things like that. So, this is an art form. And we're just kind of babies in this art form, but once we get the hang of it, it's like solving a jigsaw puzzle. Once you understand how it all fits together, then it becomes a much easier process.
Yeah, and Rama, can I just say that I'm immensely happy with the website service and with Greg.
Yeah.
And I really am. And that's what, without that, I probably wouldn't have switched back over to ExpressMail, and I'm very interested in, seeing how it works for me. I just noted the differences. I don't know that our audiences, since y'all have us on so many social media, have to have all these bells and whistles on the newsletter, really, but, we'll see.
Well, as Joyce mentioned, you want to take advantage of what's out there, and as much of what's out there. So,
Right.
it is, I mean, some people are going to love newsletters. Some people are going to love blogging and not love newsletters. I mean, but there's a lot of opportunity, and there's not, they're all very similar. It's all very connected. So that's the point of bringing Joyce in, just to provide another piece of this puzzle for us. And ultimately, we're like authors here, and we like writing books, and we have, now we have to post on 5 social medias. We have to write, a blog every week. We got to do a newsletter once a month, and it can, it can be a little bit overwhelming. But the point is to understand how it all goes together. And then we can make our own decisions. As you say, you may decide that you don't need to do a newsletter once a quarter, maybe. There's all kinds of timely options here. And when I was talking to Joyce, she is an expert in constant contact, and that was one of her concerns was, well, if they're using a different kind of contact software, maybe I'm not going to be that helpful. But I really think that the similarities in these programs are pretty, I mean, they are very similar. And sure, you might have to learn a few steps, and you're right, you might have to use a certain Firefox browser to make something work better. You know, when I fill out your Bowker account information, I have to be in Explorer. I don't open up Explorer for any other reason. But otherwise, I don't get a drop-down menu, and it's like very frustrating. But you know, that's just the way things are, and we're smart enough to figure out a lot of this stuff, and it's not that inconvenient. And Joyce could lay out a newsletter for you in Constant Contact, and essentially, we could end up by cutting, pasting it into the contact software template that you're working with, and it probably wouldn't be all that difficult to do.
Good point.
How long does the newsletter need to be?
Well, it depends. If it's just going to be, let's say, an announcement that your book is coming out, you can make it kind of brief, but you want to certainly include certain things like, a link, let's say, to Amazon. There's certain things you always want to include, contact information, things like that. If it's a regular monthly newsletter and you're writing, let's say, observations about the world or the book industry or whatever, it's probably going to be longer. So once again, it's individualized and it's specific to the situation.
I see. Well, I look forward to listening to what you had to say, Joyce. Thank you.
Sorry you missed it.
Yeah. Joyce, I have another question. It's Jasmina.
Hi.
Hi. I am in express mail marketing, and I'm wondering if I can link the newsletter, link my express mail so that it can go into my Hotmail and take out all the emails out of there and then link it to Facebook, so that I don't have to do the one email at a time. Just do you know if that has the capacity to do that, or even if Constant Contact does?
I'm not clear with what you're trying to do, and I have to say I'm not familiar at all with express mail marketing, so you have to ask Greg about that. But I'm also not clear with what your question was, what you're trying to do.
What Jasmine is referring to, I'm sorry, Jasmine, for jumping in, but I understand exactly what your question is, and it's a really good question, okay? What Jasmine is getting at is that in our personal email accounts, and I have 3 or 4 personally, and different people are in it, there usually is a way of exporting those contact lists through to an Excel file.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And then you can import your Excel file directly into most of the contact software.
Oh, yeah, you can totally do that with Constant Contact. And you can do the reverse, too, once it's in Constant Contact, you can export it to your computer. So that's why I was mentioning how it's a nice way to have a backup database of your contacts. Yeah, that's something to me that I would think is pretty basic with all the email marketing providers. Yeah, again, it's a matter of just learning, learning how it is for that.
Okay, but yet it probably couldn't be done on Facebook or Twitter or very easily, I would imagine.
Well, Facebook, first of all, I think there's probably proprietary issues there. There's probably confidentiality issues there. And, I could be signed up on Facebook with, a weird name. I mean, you won't know it's me. So I don't think it's like a clear cut, source of information there. Same thing with Twitter. Don't people have I'm not that familiar with Twitter anymore, so
I'm learning.
Yeah, with having an email program and having, let's say, email marketing program, this first name, last name, email address. I mean, it's very parallel. But you get into some of these other things, I don't really see how it will mesh. But I'm not an expert with that.
Okay. This is really helpful. Thank you. So I'd have to call customer service and figure out how to do to export the contacts. Probably that would be what you'd recommend.
Well, there should be a help menu or help button in the software. Every software program has that, and then you could search on it or see what frequently asked questions they have.
Okay.
And again, Greg, I'm sure, is a great resource.
Oh, Greg. Thank you.
Jasmina,
Yeah.
the key is you need to do it from your email account. It's not your contact software, because the information isn't in your contact software yet. And just so you need to actually figure out how to export your Gmail contact list. So that's the customer support you would need to go with. And I find that Google search is your best bet for any of that stuff. How can I export my Gmail contact list? And
Okay, this is Hotmail though.
Hotmail, then you put Hotmail in there instead of Gmail.
Okay.
And one other point, I don't think that Twitter you can actually export those contact. I think that's part of their program. Keeps that from happening. Facebook, on the other hand, the approach I would take is that there are apps in Facebook for contact software, and you might be able to download or go into one of those apps and essentially suck your contacts out and then export that into an Excel list to put into a different software. I mean, it's kind of a obscure way of doing it, but I know that there are special contact software apps that are part of the Facebook family.
Oh.
Okay. Wow. Okay. And then I have to do the Excel, export to an Excel sheet, which I have never done before. That will be another learning experience. So.
Well, that's a really simple learning experience, and if you haven't used Excel, there are going to be times in your life where it's probably a pretty useful program to have at least an idea. It's it's very similar to Word. It's part of the Microsoft Office suite, so it is very simple and integratable that way. I know that I told Joyce that she could go back to her business at 6:30. So I don't want to go much past it, and it's getting very noisy here at Tom's house. So unless there's some real pressing question for Joyce, I'm going to stop the meeting here, make my recording, and send it up to Greg later on tomorrow, and I'll send it out to everyone in our beta groups on that WeTransfer link. So you will have it live on your own computer.
Great.
Thank you
so much, Joyce. Thank you. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for your questions. I always love talking about this and helping people. So good luck with it all.
Good luck.
Happy holidays.
Thanksgiving.
Thank you.